Update. Am I the a-hole for calling off my wedding after finding out my fiancé never had the money he promised to contribute? Original post. I, 33 female, have been with my partner, 32 male, for 5 years. He proposed in March 2024, and we agreed to get married in December 2025. He promised to cover 70% of the wedding costs and said he'd transfer money to my account whenever I paid for something. I ended up handling all the planning and bookings. By April this year, I had already paid around 500,000 local currency. But when I checked, he hadn't sent me a single cent. I kept reminding him, and he always said, "Yes, baby," after work. I work in an accounting firm with over 40 clients, so I'm insanely busy and didn't have time to double-check every day. But I trusted him. When we finally sat down to talk about it, I found out he didn't actually have the money. He planned to ask his parents or use future income, meaning he had been lying about having savings. All this time, he bragged about being financially stable and successful. He's a lawyer, but apparently it was all talk. I understand that people can go through tough financial times, but lying about it and letting me carry all the burden, that felt like a betrayal. I decided to call off the wedding and the relationship. Now he's throwing the wedding expenses in my face, even though I did all the work. My parents think I should go through with it since the engagement has already been announced to family. Am I the a-hole for calling it off? I feel heartbroken, used, and honestly, fooled. And seriously, if you can't afford to get married, why propose in the first place? Now for the top comments before reading the update. You didn't call off a wedding, you canceled a subscription to nonsense. Good for you. Thanks. That honestly made me laugh. I needed to hear that. Calling off the wedding was a sensible and self-respecting decision. You deserve a partner who is honest and reliable, especially when it comes to finances. Not the a-hole, but to be clear, this is about the lying and betrayal, not necessarily about the money. Yeah, it's the dishonesty that broke me, not just the lack of money. If he had been upfront, things might have been different. Thank God you found this out before you got married. As they say, money problems don't start with money. What if this had been your mortgage payment or school fees? Those aren't optional expenses, and there can be huge repercussions for non-payment. I say good on you for holding your boundary. Also, don't fall for the sunk cost fallacy. Yes, you announced it to family, but if they love you, they'll support you. Better to be a little embarrassed now than waste more time and have to pay for a divorce attorney and separate assets later. Because you already announced it is among the worst reasons to go through with a marriage. I'd rather save my future than to save face, Limao. You don't commit to someone because of what your parents, relatives, or friends expect. You commit because you trust the person, and he broke that trust. For real, if trust is broken before the marriage, what more after? Not worth the risk. And to be honest, it's really non-negotiable for me. Now for the update. Hi everyone, thank you so much for the support. I didn't expect my post to get much attention, but reading your responses helped me feel less alone and more validated in what I was feeling. It's been a week since I called everything off. He's been texting and calling non-stop, flip-flopping between apologizing and guilt-tripping me. At one point he said, "We can still fix this, it's just money." But it was never just about the money. It was the lying, the manipulation, the months of pretending to be someone he wasn't, and letting me drown financially and emotionally, while he played the role of the dependable fiancé. I'm staying with a close friend for now while I sort things out. I've cried more than I thought possible, but each day I feel a little lighter. The fog is lifting. His family finally reached out, trying to mediate. His mom even asked if we could just scale down the wedding instead of canceling it. I told them very calmly that there is no wedding to scale down. I'm done, and I mean it. I've also started looking through everything I paid for, checking which vendors I can cancel or get partial refunds from. It sucks, not gonna lie, but I'd rather lose money than lose myself in a marriage built on lies. My parents are slowly coming around. My dad said something last night that really hit me. It's better to disappoint people for a moment than to disappoint yourself for a lifetime. I don't know what comes next, but I know what I left behind, and I know it was the right thing to do. Thank you so much again. You really helped me a lot. Not the a-hole. It's crazy. You're righting a wrong that could have defined your future, not just some minor hiccup. It takes a lot of courage to walk away from something that isn't right. Exactly, and it's normal to cry and grieve the loss of the relationship and the future you thought you had, but those tears are part of the healing process. You walked away not just from a wedding, but from a future where you would have been the only one showing up, financially and emotionally. That's not a partnership. That's a slow erasure of your peace, your dignity, and your sense of self. And you said no to that, loudly, clearly, without apology. Exactly this. She didn't just cancel a wedding, she saved herself from a lifetime of being taken for granted. That kind of strength deserves nothing but respect. My parents are slowly coming around. Good, because this was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. My parents think I should go through with it, since the engagement has already been announced to family. I so totally agree. Been in a situation where I married partly out of pressure by family to go through with it when I doubted and wanted out. It never works, because then you're not really marrying your partner out of love. You're marrying to please someone else. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother's girlfriend she can't expect me to treat her kids like I treat mine, and that she is not entitled to anything from us? I, 32 female, have 2 sons with my husband, a 10-month-old and a 3-year-old. I obviously love my kids, but I don't really like other kids, especially kids I don't know well. I am just not the maternal type that will want to interact with other kids, or find them cute or whatever. My brother has been dating his girlfriend Natalie, 31 female, and she has 2 kids as well, a 7-year-old boy and a 5-year-old girl. When we first met Natalie, she seemed excited that I have kids and started planning how our kids would bond and play together. This did not happen, and the main reason is the age difference. Again, my kids are 3 years old and 10 months. I don't know how she imagined that her 7-year-old would bond so well with a baby or someone 4 years younger than him. Her 5-year-old daughter is a different situation. She is very rowdy, so my oldest avoids her at all costs when we meet during family functions or whatever. Despite our kids clearly not blending well, I would say we were nice towards Natalie and her kids. Last Christmas, for example, the first Christmas since they got together, we gave gifts to her kids when we met at my parents' place for dinner, and I thought that was enough. However, Natalie decided to confront me on things I apparently did wrong and hurt her feelings. She mentioned, I do not show a special interest in her kids, who will potentially become my niece and nephew in the future. I refuse to have her kids over at my place for playdates without her being present. To be clear, I am okay with hosting her, my brother, and her kids for dinner or something. I refuse to make my son like her daughter. I am cold towards her kids. I explained to her that I can't and will not force my kid to play or be friends with anyone. I also said that I am not comfortable having her kids in my house without her present. I do not know her kids that well. I have no idea how they behave outside of the few family settings that we have all attended, and I don't want to be responsible for 2 stranger kids in my house. On the coldness side, I explained to her that I am not cold on purpose, but this is how I am as a person. I am not a fan of kids. I am not overly maternal, and I simply don't feel like being overly excited over kids. She said that this is not true because she saw that I am everything I claim not to be with my kids. Well, yes, because they are my own children. She also claims that everyone has been excluding her children. When I asked her how, she gave the same examples from above and claimed that my parents are more affectionate towards my kids. Yes, again, because they are their grandkids. In the end, we were not getting anywhere. So I told her, look, Natalie, you started dating my brother 1 year ago. My parents and I had a couple of meetings with you and your kids, and everyone was nice to all of you. I don't know what your problem is, but you need to speak to my brother. No one is excluding your kids, but you can't expect us to treat your kids the same as mine. This is never going to happen. My kids are my kids. They don't owe anything to yours, and you are not entitled to anything from us. Please solve these issues with my brother. My brother apologized for her and mentioned to me that she sounds like a mad woman, focused on the absurd differences she sees when it comes to our kids. He agrees our parents are not doing anything wrong, and that I am not doing anything wrong. He knows me, and he is aware I am not doing anything on purpose. He said that Natalie has been crying after our discussion, and while he agrees with me, he asked me if I can try being more empathetic towards her feelings. I told him that I am polite to her, but she seems manipulative. And if she doesn't want to hear the truth, she should not start this kind of discussion with me. My brother is lost. He does not know how to manage this madness, and I am honestly confused if I did anything wrong when speaking to her. Not the a-hole. She was hoping to leave them with you for date nights and weekends away. You just slaughtered that dream and she's not happy. Yeah, no, that's just never going to happen. If your brother chooses crazy, then he can be the one to deal with crazy. His questionable choices in partners are not your problem. Not the a-hole. I only like my kids and my bestie's kids. All other kids get on my nerves. I will be nice to them, but I'm not a let me hold the baby or host a playdate type of person. I will also not fawn over any goblins. Haha, same here, sis. My little goblins are enough for me. Not the a-hole. These boundaries are totally fair. Natalie seems to have unrealistic expectations, especially this early into the relationship. It's not cruel to protect your space or prioritize your own kids. Empathy doesn't mean sacrificing honesty or comfort. She may be hurting, but that doesn't make her entitled to your energy or parenting style. Thank you. The thing is, I don't get it. Why would you be hurt in her situation? My parents and I met her kids a bunch of times, but it is clear at this point we are some strangers to them, just like they are strangers to us. And being offended that you won't let the kids over without her? Is she planning on making you her babysitter? Maybe she was planning on sending them over for sleepovers. She shouldn't force things and should let the relationships grow organically. Your brother needs to manage her expectations. Not the a-hole, she is. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my mom meet my newborn after what she said at my wedding? I, 29 female, gave birth to my first child 2 weeks ago. It's been a whirlwind, exhausting but amazing. My husband, 31 male, and I are trying to set boundaries early, especially with our families, because both sides can be intense. Here's the issue. My mom, 56 female, hasn't met the baby yet, and I've told her she won't until further notice. She's livid, and now the entire extended family is calling me heartless. At our wedding last year, she made a toast during the reception. She said she was proud of me, but then turned to my husband and said, "Take good care of her. She's not always easy to love." People laughed nervously. I was mortified. When I confronted her later, she brushed it off as a joke and told me I was being too sensitive as always. That comment stuck with me, especially because growing up, she often belittled me, calling me too emotional, too dramatic, or a burden. Therapy helped me unpack a lot of it, but hearing those words again on my wedding day brought it all back. Now that I've had my baby, I've felt this overwhelming urge to protect her. Not just physically, but emotionally. I don't want someone around her who doesn't even respect me as a person, let alone as a mother. My mom has apologized technically, but it felt more like, "I'm sorry you were offended," than genuine remorse. She says I'm punishing her and being immature. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm letting old wounds cloud the present. But part of me feels like if I don't draw this line now, I never will. So, am I the a-hole for not letting my mom meet her grandchild because of something she said months ago? Now for the comments. Think of how you would feel if your mother said those things to your child, and then pat yourself on the back for nipping that problem in the bud early. Boundaries aren't punishment. They are a way to ensure emotional safety. I like to think of it as my boundaries are a punishment for you because they ensure my emotional safety regarding you. I've found the perpetrator always feels attacked anyway. Might as well land a direct hit. Not the a-hole. Real question is, why is it bad to punish her? She claims you are. Fine, you are. Mom's punishment for a lifetime of being a crappy parent is not getting to be a crappy grandparent. OP set a boundary after years of emotional wounds, and the wedding comment just reopened those. She isn't being heartless. She's protecting her peace. If a parent refuses to respect your value as a person, it's not cruel to draw a line for your child's sake. Not the a-hole. It appears that you aren't keeping your child away from her because of what she said at the wedding, but her ongoing process of abuse and emotional browbeating. You don't want to put your child through that. You know exactly how she is and how demeaning and cruel she is. So avoid the drama for yourself and your child. Last story. Am I the a-hole for canceling my financial support for my son's wedding after his fiancé catfished him to test his loyalty? My son, 23, got engaged a few months ago. Recently, he admitted to me that he had been texting with a girl he met on Tinder. That alone already shocked me. He's engaged, and that's obviously not acceptable behavior. But here's the twist. The girl on Tinder was actually his fiancé. She made a fake account to test whether he would stay loyal, and when he flirted back, she confronted him. Yes, what my son did was messed up. But creating a whole fake profile to trap your partner? That's manipulation. If you have to run sting operations to trust your fiancé, maybe you shouldn't be getting married. After learning this, I told my son I wouldn't be paying for the wedding anymore. I don't want to support a marriage that already starts with lies and games from both sides. Some people in the family say that I'm overreacting and punishing both of them. What's your opinion? Not the a-hole. Sorry, but your son being on a dating website while planning a wedding, while his fiancé was tricking him? Sorry, but that doesn't sound like a healthy relationship. And honestly, if the girl is smart, she should break it off, as it shows that your son isn't loyal, again, because of being on a dating app. Unless there is an agreement between them two that they are allowed to date outside of their relationship, this is a big red flag. Talk to your son about that. If he really wants to get married, because if he's disloyal now, why does he want to get married? A divorce is expensive and most of the time ends in worse condition for the husband. Yeah, not the a-hole, but your son is having doubts and he clearly is not opposed to cheating. She should have ended it. She obviously had a reason to suspect something was going on behind her back, and she was correct. Why is an engaged man on Tinder in the first place? Not the a-hole for withdrawing financial support, but they should not be getting married. You do seem to have more anger at the girlfriend than at your son, and that's an interesting take. If she was your daughter and told you she found evidence suggesting her fiancé was on Tinder looking for hookups, would you still think so harshly of her? I love how she catfished him, and it was the first time he did it. The poor innocent son. To think he isn't a cheater is ridiculous. Not the a-hole. But you seem more unhappy with her than him, which is unfortunate. I don't agree with how she did it, but she apparently had good cause. I doubt her catfish is the only girl he was contacting. He doesn't get to be offended. She caught him doing wrong. Sounds like he especially is not ready for a marriage. Yeah, I think the only a-hole point for OP is blaming the fiancé more than her son. Yes, the fiancé is crappy for doing a stupid test, but also was she wrong? He fell into the trap. None of this would have come out had he not been disloyal. Neither is ready for marriage. Update. Would I be the a-hole for straight up leaving and ghosting my fiancé after I found out she cheated? Original post. I, 28 male, have found out that my fiancé, 30 female of 2 years, cheated on me. We have been together for 6 years and in love with each other. At least that's how it was for me. She has been acting more distant and became more protective of her phone for the last 2 months. At first, I was not suspicious of anything, but the doubt grew more and more inside me as the time passed, especially after asking her if there was a problem since she felt distant. She said there was no problem and that was it. I gave in and snooped on her phone to discover she has been seeing a guy for the last 2 months. I was devastated. At the beginning of our relationship, I clearly told her lying and cheating in any form are the two unforgivable actions for me. Yet, she decided to cheat on me after 5 years of relationship, and we had been planning the wedding for the summer. I'm not proud of that, but I checked the old messages as well, but there were no case of cheating other than this. I have been thinking about it for the last few days. I tried to rationalize it and told myself I cannot be leaving a 6 years relationship because of a single mistake. But after having a long talk with my oldest sister, I realized that I should respect myself and leave. She was the one who betrayed a relationship, not me. We do not have any shared assets, and lease is on my fiancé's name. I have an inherited house, but it's in another city. Tomorrow I'm planning to just get important things from the house, block her from everywhere and just leave. I do not want a closure, to be honest. I just want to grieve the relationship. I thought maybe I did not love her given that I want to leave her right away, but it's not like that. It hurts a lot. I tend to stress eat, doom scroll, and spiral into depression in these kinds of situations. I have that experience from my early 20s. By going no contact and returning back to the city where my family lives will give me a circle that can support me. Would I be the a-hole if I straight up left and ghosted her without saying anything? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole, but if you can get screenshots of the chats as proof. So when people ask you, you can back it up. Yeah, print them out and leave them for her to find the day you leave. Block her number and all socials. Tell family and friends to do the same. Yeah, you need to let her know in some form that you know what you did. Otherwise, she might try and track you down, spam your family, etc. to have her say. Cheaters always like to try and change the narrative. Cut that off before she tries it. Don't even wait for them to ask. Hey, I know everyone may have noticed that I left suddenly. The lease was in my ex's name, and I found out she was cheating on me. For obvious reasons, we are no longer together and want nothing to do with her. I'll get my new address out to everyone ASAP. When you moved in, throw a ditch the beat party. Make a point of using money you'd save for the wedding. Cheaters count on their exes not telling anyone. It lets them keep cheating unless their ex face the social consequences of just vanishing for no reason. He ghosted me. Wow, he's so terrible. Flat out tell people you didn't do anything wrong. Snooping on a phone is generally a huge no-no, but when you're pretty darn sure that there is cheating going on or a gambling problem or something else major, then it's one of the few times I'll forgive. Not the a-hole, but if she doesn't know you've left her, she may report you as a missing person. I'd say once you've packed up and on your way out, send her a 2-line message. Say you've left her because you know she's been sexting people. That will hopefully prevent her from trying to force contact. Don't send screenshots of other people's conversations. Just don't. There could be legal implications. Not a lawyer. Just leave. Message her parents and her wedding guests through the online wedding guest portal or text them, "Hi, I just discovered evidence of fiancé in a relationship with another man. Wedding is off. Grateful I found out before the wedding. Best to you all. Any costs of the wedding Miss Cheater can handle." Some people will take her side, but you can't fix that. Now for the update. Firstly, I will not spread screenshots in social media or anywhere. That's illegal and a low blow, even if it does not contain sexual parts. It's a private thing, and I'm not planning to use these unless she plays dirty. One of my sisters came early in the morning to take me after my fiancé left for the work, and we packed some small things. As the lease is on her name, I do not have furniture and stuff. We packed clothes, accessories, and other small and personal things. Her car is an SUV type, so we were able to fit most of the required things thankfully. I could not take the ring though. I left the keys under the flower pot and put a sticky on the refrigerator saying, "I know, bye." Drive took about 7 hours and we safely arrived to the inherited house. On the ride, I received countless messages and calls from unknown numbers but did not answer. Once we arrived at home, eldest sister called me asking if we arrived. She told me fiancé called her crying around 3 p.m. and my sister told her not to contact me. We know everything. And if she tries to paint me bad in any way, we would not use only words, but do not back away from showing solid proofs to people. Fiancé requested to know where I am and speak to me. My sister said I am fine, and she should not contact me in any form. When fiancé said we at least deserve a closure, my sister replied, "Too bad, suck it up." Not exactly that, but that's how I would translate that idiom, and ended the call. I still get calls and messages from unknown numbers. In the end, her father and mother called me. Surprisingly, my fiancé came clean to them, and while they hoped for me to give her a chance, they respected my decision. I thanked them and wished best of luck. Her father told me he will be sending the ring's money and asked me for my bank account. He actually sent it by adjusting to inflation, so I got a pretty decent money. The house is in an almost perfect condition as we renovated it before Mom passed away. It's just incredibly dusty and dirty after not being used since then. My 3 sisters will come this weekend and we'll clean it together. Eldest broke up with her partner recently, so she plans to live with me after her lease ends in a few months. She has been complaining about the rent prices for a while. My sisters are pretty much my only family, so I only informed them with some really close friends. I'm planning on going to therapy after settling here. It may sound weird how close I am with my sisters, but we grew up like that. We grew up with an abusive father, and as I was the only man and youngest one, all of the physical and emotional harm went towards me. We bonded with each other through trauma, and they tend to be a bit protective with me. I think that history is one of the reasons I just did not want to face my ex-fiancé. I thought I got over that considering nothing happened since we took family therapy, but it seems to be there. I'll get into therapy as soon as possible to understand everything and resolve the problems. I will post if there are any updates, but I just hope there will not be any. I just want to have peace and grieve right now. It sounds as if you are on the right path and have a good support system. Yay, sisters, for having your back. Good luck. Thank you. I did not know what I would do if my sisters weren't there. OP, I am so happy for you, and good for you for getting out. I read your original post. Your message to her was perfect. Short, sweet, and to the point. Thank you. I try to keep it as short as possible. Many people said it would be weird to disappear without a simple note, so that's what I did. You made a perfect choice in your note. She does not deserve a closure talk from you. It may help her, but definitely not you. You are the #1 priority. If she has made you that priority, she wouldn't be in this mess. She made her bed. Let her lie in it. Good luck, and stay strong, King. Closure is just the ex trying to manipulate OP. If she cared for his feelings, she wouldn't have cheated in the first place. My husband's side piece cried and wailed and stalked him at work, called on fake numbers, and used friends to reach him for closure. Her idea of closure is guilting him with, if you have anything else to say, you should say it, and I hope you're happy now messages. She doesn't. She hopes he's miserable without her, so he'll come running back to her. Good on OP for 1, not putting up with the cheating like I have, and 2, cutting her right off. She has nothing enlightening to say. Walk away and stay strong, OP. This was not an easy thing to go through. It's great that your family and her parents are supportive and understanding. She made a wrong choice and has to live with the consequences of her actions. Her parents are incredible people. I'm glad they did not push for anything further. Next story. Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my girlfriend because she slept with another guy while making me wait? So my girlfriend and I have been together for about half a year, and I just started a new job. I met this male coworker and we became friends. So I invite him over at my place and he recognizes my girlfriend. We don't officially live together, but she spends a lot of time at my place. You can guess where this is going. After my coworker left, my girlfriend and I get to talking. Basically, she slept with him while dating me and made me wait. She said that our relationship was gonna be special and she wanted to wait, and that hook up with my coworker was just a one-night stand. I told her to leave because I knew I was gonna say things I couldn't take back. A few days later, after I calmed down and thought it through, I broke up with her. She kept repeating what she said about how she wants more with me, but I told her that I feel like I'm not attractive to her, or at least not as much as others. She kept saying that I was special. Basically, I said that I can't be that special if she preferred to sleep with a one-night stand than me. Edit, I don't think this counts as cheating. This happened within the first month of us dating. We became official after the first month or so. I 100% should have clarified with her if we were exclusive or not, so that's on me. Now for the top comments. Of course you're not the a-hole. Lol. OP not the a-hole. She had a one-night stand with a guy while dating you. She has issues. If she legitimately thinks it's okay to sleep with someone and then tell the guy she's dating you're special, all that's gonna do is make the guy feel like shit. If you want to sleep around, do so. But don't make excuses to someone you're dating while you're sleeping with other people. Going to make anyone feel like crap. Hey, I really want something long-lasting with you, but this guy can bang me hard right now, okay? Not the a-hole. I can never get the logic that you're a special boyfriend material, so I will make you wait, but we'll be banging some other guy during the waiting time. Wouldn't it be the same if a guy sleeps with 2 to 3 girls and comes back home to his girlfriend telling you are a special one? She was cheating. If OP was special as she claims, she would have kept her legs closed for OP before there was exclusivity talks. If a difference between keeping your legs open and closed is a tag called exclusivity is BS. It's funny, isn't it? Guy sleeps with a girl and says she means nothing and he's horrible, rightly so. Girl does it and it's all good? Let me translate it for you. I thought you're the type of guy who would commit to me, so I made you wait, and without a promise of that commitment equals I am not attracted enough to you to sleep with you. But there are guys who I'm attracted enough to just want sex with even without commitment. Those I will sleep with without any weight. Last story. Am I the a-hole for avoiding a friend after she tried to set me up with a single mother? I, 31 male, have been single for several years now, a fact that a friend of mine, Lily, 34 female, was aware of. I've always been passionate about my current job. During my training years, I became familiar with Lily, who admired how much I wanted to join the field, and we have been friends ever since. A few months ago, she reached out to me inquiring if I was still single and mentioned she has become friends with Sarah, 29 female, who had moved from a different state about a year ago and is in the same field. She asked if I would want to go on a date with her during the weekend. I didn't think much of it and agreed to meet Sarah over the weekend. After having a conversation with her, I was impressed by her intelligence, charisma, and the care she had for her patients. However, as the conversation went on, I discovered she had a child, which is a deal breaker for me. But I was already in the conversation, and the statement about her daughter came as an off-topic rather than me specifically asking for it. So I tried to listen to her without showing any change in my expression and continued the evening. Although I knew the date was over, I tried my best to keep the mood light because I felt so guilty for wasting her time, not to mention how she might have had to arrange for a babysitter and then go home to take care of her daughter who probably was already missing her. In the days following, Sarah messaged me a few times, expressing how much she enjoyed our dinner and attempting to engage in further conversation. Initially, I responded with as much positivity and professionalism as I could, but eventually I had to clarify that, despite enjoying our conversation, I preferred to maintain a professional relationship. I even helped her during a staffing shortage by sending some of my best interns to assist her. Although I appear sociable and confident, much of it is the result of my training. I get easily flustered and awkward, and this whole situation with Sarah just made me feel so bad that it led me to start ghosting Lily. A few months later, I saw Lily again for a work thing where she confronted me about my avoidance, suspecting something went wrong on the date. I said it was just due to work and staffing shortages, a response she clearly didn't believe, but she didn't press further due to the professional setting we were in, and she suggested we meet after work to discuss it further. Reluctantly, I met Lily at a coffee shop where I initially dodged the issue. However, she realized I was just avoiding the issue, so she said she just wanted to understand what happened and doesn't care why. So I told her that Sarah had a child, and I would never date a single mother, something that Lily already was very likely aware of. She didn't show any change in her expression and just changed the topic to something else. However, I am still a bit mad at her for making me look like a jerk to Sarah, who probably would have been friends with me and an amazing addition to my contact list professionally if not for this messed up date. You are not an a-hole for not wanting to date people with children, but there was no need to avoid her for so long. You could have just informed her of your preference, since she obviously didn't know. I think you made this a way bigger deal than it needed to be. Your technique to handle the situation reeks of emotional immaturity and conflict avoidance. But it doesn't make you the a-hole, really. I don't think anyone is the a-hole here. Lily was aware though, if not directly, she knew about it indirectly. She knew I wouldn't date someone with children. She has always known my stance for not wanting kids, and I have been very vocal about it. There can exist a situation where she imagined my want for not wanting children is limited to just my own and not others. But knowing her, she wouldn't make a mistake like that. That is different. Her knowing and intentionally setting you up was crappy to both you and the person she set you up with. That is what I fear. She's not the type of person who would put me in a bad situation knowingly, and she has always had my best interest in mind. Even when I talked to her before the date, she seemed cheery and happy about setting up the date. I have no idea why she did what she did. You could just say you weren't feeling it, and that's it. No need to explain more to them. I should have done that in retrospect, but during the moment when she confronted me, I knew she was prying for details, and I just said what she wanted to know. Looking back now, I probably should have done this, and just bottled up everything, and it would have been for the best. However, the genie is out of the bottle, and there's nothing I can do to take it back. But it's a good lesson to remember for future instances for sure. Yeah, you don't say this kind of thing. It should have been simply not feeling it or no chemistry or one of those. But getting set up with a work-related person is always a bit of a minefield. It's just tricky. On the other hand, Lily knew it was a deal breaker and set the date up anyway. Maybe this negative experience will teach her not to set people up who will never work out. The point of dating is to find someone compatible. You spend time with someone and see how it goes. You discovered that was the case with Sarah. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to say you're an a-hole, but your response is ridiculously immature. I thought I was advising for teens Reddit. You could have told Sarah that you're not interested in pursuing a romantic relationship when there is a child involved. You may have become friends. At least you could have maintained a professional relationship. And the drama with Lily was completely avoidable. Update. I messed up by accidentally becoming my client's wife's boyfriend. Original post. For context, I'm a divorce attorney. I've been practicing for about 8 years now, mostly family law stuff. Generally pretty routine work. People want to untangle their lives. I help them do it legally. Everyone moves on. Let's flash back to last March. I took on what seemed like a straightforward dissolution case. Client I'll call Dave, nice enough guy, been separated from his wife for over a year, just wanted to make it official. Nothing complicated, decent retainer, figured we'd have it wrapped up in a few months. Dave seemed reasonable, not one of those vindictive types trying to burn everything down out of spite. Around the same time, I'd been seeing this woman Sarah for a couple of months. Met her at a coffee shop near my office, really hit it off. She mentioned going through a divorce, but I didn't pry. Not exactly first date conversation, you know? She had a different last name from what was in my client files, so when I ran my conflict checks, nothing flagged. Everything was going great with Sarah. Really great, actually. We were taking things slow, but it was heading in a good direction. Until we scheduled the first four-way settlement meeting. I walk into the conference room with Dave, chatting about keeping things amicable, and there's Sarah, sitting across the table with her attorney. I literally just stopped mid-sentence. My briefcase slipped right out of my hands and hit the floor with this loud thud. Sarah went completely white. Dave looked back and forth between us for what felt like an eternity, and I could see the exact moment it clicked for him. "Are you freaking serious right now?" he says. Not shouting, but definitely not pleased. Sarah started tearing up. Her lawyer looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. I'm standing there feeling like the biggest moron in legal history. Had to immediately excuse myself with Dave. Guy was understandably pissed. Started grilling me. How long had this been going on? Did I know who she was? Was this some kind of setup to screw him over? I'm trying to explain that I'd been dating his wife for a couple of months without having any clue who she was. He didn't buy it at first. What kind of lawyer doesn't ask basic questions? He keeps saying. I had to pull out my intake notes to prove the name thing, show him how the conflict check works, basically convince an angry client that I'm incompetent rather than malicious. It took about 20 minutes before he finally believed it was just spectacularly bad luck. Even then, he's shaking his head, muttering about how messed up this whole situation is. I explained I'd have to withdraw from his case and help him find new counsel. There's no getting around it. I've got a personal relationship with the opposing party, which makes it impossible for me to represent him properly. By the end, he'd calmed down enough to say, "This is the weirdest goddamn thing that's ever happened to me." He still wasn't happy about starting over with a new lawyer, but he understood why it had to happen. The paperwork was a nightmare. Had to file a motion to withdraw since we were already in litigation, transfer all his files, deal with refunding unused fees. Sarah and I didn't speak for 2 weeks after that meeting. We were both mortified. Her attorney spent forever trying to convince himself this wasn't some elaborate scheme. Even though nobody intended for this to happen, it was still my screw-up. I should have had better procedures to catch conflicts like this. Doesn't matter that it was an accident. You mess up the conflict check, you deal with the consequences. Dave texted me a few weeks later, but it wasn't friendly. More like, hope you realize this completely ruined my timeline. Can't say I blame him. And just to add insult to injury, my malpractice insurance premium went up when I had to report the conflict. Now for the top comments before reading the update. I mean, you did waste a lot of his money on whatever time you spent that the new lawyer would have to redo. Did you and Sarah at least continue dating afterward? Sarah used another name socially that Dave had not disclosed. Her file had her legal name. Our check didn't catch it, and I didn't connect the dots. Her and I's relationship was less emotionally involved, to keep it brief. I've been overworked and dealing with more than a full caseload. Yes, I could have done better at preventing this from happening. This was a major screw-up. On her end, I don't think she knew either, based on her reaction as well as her being a workaholic too. Pretty much all communication had been directly between me and her counsel. No, she and I did not continue seeing each other, for obvious reasons. Can you explain how you could have done better to keep this from happening? The only thing I could think of is that you would have asked her outright if your client was the man she was currently divorcing when she let you know about it. But that would just be weird, and not something anyone would think to ask except as a joke. And that is assuming that any of your clients disclosed that to you, which was not the case here. Now for the update. So it's been about 7 months since the conference room incident, and people have been asking what happened. Short answer, it's been a mess. About 3 weeks after I withdrew from Dave's case, I got called into a meeting with the senior partners. 3 partners, our firm's general counsel, and a rep from our malpractice carrier on a video call. The managing partner slides a folder across the table. Opposing counsel reported a conflict of interest issue to the state bar under Rule 8.3. We've been notified of a disciplinary inquiry. Crap. Dave's new attorney filed the report. They don't get to decide what happens. They just report potential violations and the bar takes it from there. I have to explain everything. How I met Sarah, how we'd been casually dating for a couple of months, how she used a different name socially, how my conflict check on her legal name didn't flag anything because I never connected the dots. The general counsel is taking notes. Walk me through your conflict check process. I explained the intake procedures, how the system works, how Sarah's legal surname didn't match what she'd told me. It sounds worse when I say it out loud. This is a clear Model Rule 1.7 A2 issue, material limitation conflict, the general counsel says. You are correct to withdraw under Rule 1.16, but we need to understand how this wasn't caught earlier. The malpractice carrier rep unmutes. We'll need to document this as a circumstance that could lead to a claim. It'll be noted when your policy comes up for renewal. Great. The firm mandates that I complete an 8-hour CLE on conflicts of interest before taking any new client intakes. They've already registered me for a seminar that Saturday. 8 a.m., of course. I show up at a hotel conference room with about 20 other attorneys. One of the instructors is Patricia, a divorce attorney I've opposed a few times. She definitely knows why I'm there based on the look she gave me. Most of the morning is standard material, rules, case law, procedures. Then we get to case studies, and Patricia brings up In re Johnson, a 2019 disciplinary matter. Attorney representing a divorced client starts dating someone, turns out to be the opposing party, discovers it at a settlement conference. Same exact situation as mine from 6 years ago in a different state, and I wanted to sink through the floor. At lunch, another attorney mentions he heard about something similar happening at a firm in town recently. He doesn't know it's me, but clearly the story's getting around. I finish the seminar, pass the exam, bring the certificate back to the firm. A few weeks later, the bar sends a letter. The inquiry is closed with a private caution, basically a warning that stays in their files but isn't public discipline. Could have been worse. My malpractice premium went up about 15% when it renewed in September. The carrier cited the reported disciplinary circumstance in the renewal letter. The firm implemented some new procedures for me specifically. For the next 6 months, I have to get conflicts pre-cleared by the general counsel before taking on any new client. They also added mandatory alias or nickname fields to our intake forms and conflict check system. The worst part isn't the official stuff though, it's that people know. Not everyone, but enough. I've been called the coffee shop lawyer twice at bar events. Last month, opposing counsel asked if I'd met the other party before, with this look on her face. The story's definitely circulating. Some versions have me engaged to Sarah. One has me not finding out until trial. It's becoming one of those cautionary tales people tell each other. Haven't dated anyone since March. Deleted the apps. Before I did, I matched with someone who mentioned her divorce, and I immediately asked who her lawyer was. She unmatched pretty quick. Can't really blame her. Dave, if you see this, I'm sorry, man. I really didn't know. I hope things worked out okay for you. And Sarah, hope you're doing well. Everyone else, just ask the basic questions. Run proper conflict checks. Verify AKAs. It's not worth it. I've been practicing over 10 years. You're not incompetent, and based on Dave's text to you, I think it's a good thing you had to withdraw. Kinda makes sense Sarah's divorcing him because he sounds like an a-hole. So yeah, incompetent? Nah, you're a good lawyer. Embarrassed? Yeah, this one's not gonna be funny for a while. I don't fault Dave at all. I was sleeping with his wife while representing him. There's no version of that where I'm the victim. It doesn't matter that I didn't know who she was at first. By the time I figured it out, the damage was already done. He had real things riding on that case: money, time, his business, and my withdrawal blew up his timeline. I can say it wasn't intentional, but that doesn't mean it didn't wreck him. He had every right to hate me for it. Thanks for the update. Honestly, speaking from my non-lawyer brain, I think you really drew the crappiest hand. I don't think it's your fault, and that you took the right steps when you found out. I hope this will turn into a funny story soon. I was already rooting for you after your first post. I don't think this says anything about your skills as a lawyer. What was OP even supposed to do differently? Couldn't this happen to any lawyer that's actively dating? Kind of reminds me of an old statutory rape case from like a decade ago that involved a gamer dude over the age of 18 and a teenage girl under the age of 18. Paraphrases from memory because I can't find the relevant case. Dude meets girl, literally at a bar. Dude chats with girl, and both of their IDs are checked by the bartender. Both are served drinks. Accounts confirm that dude explicitly asked the girl for her age and got information consistent with it. If my memory serves, they dated short-term. He even met her mom, and she confirmed her age as being old enough to be at a bar and drink. At some point, someone reports it, and he gets arrested and goes to jail. I'm pretty sure the girl and her mom even testified on his behalf. The heck are you supposed to do? Next story. HR are there to protect the company, not their employees. I've been struggling with my mental health for many years. Up until a few months ago, I was still able to keep up at work, even through extreme client pressure. Then I started begging for help because I was struggling a lot. They promised to move me to a different team with less pressure, but kept moving the goalposts, telling me they couldn't find a replacement due to client requirements. Early this morning, they ambushed me with a meeting with our HR director to give me two options. Either I get fired after a disciplinary hearing or go on disability. I've been begging for disability for months, so naturally I was really happy to go with option 2, as I have good income insurance through the company. Then the HR head bitch demanded that I get the doctor's paperwork done today. I'd already been in contact with the doctor, and she couldn't get it done because she just returned from leave and had a huge backlog. The HR bitch demanded that I go to the doctor's office to get it done today. I was feeling utterly malicious when I complied, even though it meant a 2-hour drive with the distance and traffic. I got there and managed to chat to my doctor for 2 minutes in between appointments, and she requested permission to be rude to the HR bitch, and I told her to go for it. I don't know what she said in that email, but the HR bitch was suddenly very reasonable. Now I have a full week to get the paperwork done. I'm happy. The HR bitch is the wife of the CEO, and the company's about to take a huge hit because the client has found alternatives. So it's going to hugely hit their bank accounts. It gives me a very happy fuzzy feeling. I gave years of loyal service, and they're going to get their karma very soon, even if my malicious compliance is a drop in the bucket. Once you get disability, you should also look into whether you can double dip and file a suit for constructive dismissal. If it was known to HR that you were having mental health issues, and they nonetheless proceeded to increase your workload and attendance stress levels despite knowing this. The way the company handles constructive dismissal lawsuits is very scary. They'd rather spend $2 million or even more on lawyers than pay out a settlement of $1 million. It would cost me too much, both financially and mentally. Not to mention that I actually can't do the work anymore due to my disability. The least amount of stress has me in a tailspin. Sometimes HR protecting the company is achieved by HR protecting the employee. This is when a manager has broken the law, and HR knows that siding with the employee to avoid a damaging lawsuit is the best option. A manager in the wrong won't admit they are in the wrong until HR makes them do it. Sometimes. I hope Apple HR reads this comment, because they do nothing but gaslight and outright lie to their employees. One HR rep earned a reputation for being utterly worthless across a whole call center department. CW, I am looking at you. She was actually a deterrent to reps filing HR cases. They tell my boss and don't help protect me? No thanks. Actual quote. I personally gave them airtight proof of retaliation and harassment. She downplayed it to my face. I went back and got even more flagrant proof of retaliation and harassment, and they responded with gaslighting. All of that abuse, and the outcome was, it got the senior area manager promoted and drove away a crapload of talented, hardworking people. Last story. Supervisor says phones are all that matter. Okay then. So this actually happened a few months ago at my job. Long story short, a coworker got promoted to a new supervisor position for all the wrong reasons. She's besties with the boss and gives him relationship advice on the side. Our team handles many types of incoming requests, phone calls, emails, tickets, and even printer jobs that get printed out automatically. We have a really chill system that actually works. Everyone helps where needed, and the manager trusts us to get the work done. Nobody tracks individual stats or micromanages. We just get everything handled and keep things running smoothly, and it's been that way in this department for probably 30 years now. Then my new supervisor comes along and, I guess, decides she wants to tighten things up or increase accountability or something. Her big idea? From now on, I'll be tracking phone calls for performance metrics. Make sure everyone's doing their job and no one's slacking. So of course we asked, what about tickets and emails? Those take most of the time. She says, well, there's no way to measure those right now, so we can't really track that. Okay. So, of course, everyone does exactly what she asked. Phone rings, answer it immediately. If we're working on an email and a phone call comes in, put it on pause and answer the call. Working on a ticket? Pause, gotta answer a call. Naturally, emails start piling up in the shared mailbox. Tickets sit untouched in the internal portal, which management still doesn't know how to run reports on, and the printer starts piling up paper in front of it. After a couple of days, people from other departments, people from our satellite offices, and even some of our external customers start emailing and calling, asking if we're backed up because nobody's responding to tickets or emails. One guy even came down in person to ask why no one had reached out to him about the email he sent in. When asked what was going on, we just repeated what the supervisor told us. Focus on the phone since that's what matters. A few days later, I saw the supervisor get called into a meeting with the boss. When she comes out, she's clearly annoyed and sends out a message on Teams saying, please remember that all work types are important, not just phone calls. And just like that, the performance tracking policy quietly vanished. We're back to doing all the work again, the same way we've been doing it successfully for years. Edit. It seems a lot of people do not understand workflow. Before, if a ticket or email came in, you'd take yourself off the phone queue to work it. But now, why am I going to take myself off the phone queue to work a ticket if it'll look like I'm doing no work? Coworker got promoted to a new supervisor position for all the wrong reasons. She's besties with the boss and gives him relationship advice on the side. I've been reading this exact same sentence in at least 5 posts in the last 10 days. Well, 2 of those were probably me because I posted other stories about this same supervisor. Sadly, it happens. I spent 5 months as acting lead in my department after they marched the former lead out. Instead of promoting me to the position, they put the laziest person on the crew there. New lead then tried to get me fired, but failed. Hope they didn't expect you to train the new person. After all, if you're not qualified to be the lead on a permanent basis, surely you're not qualified to train the person who is. Thankfully, no. I stepped out from behind the desk, went back to doing my old job, and let them flounder. Except for him trying to fire me, it was not all that bad. I was still doing my old job and working as acting lead. The guy who also got the position, and this is why we think he got it, took it for only $1 more an hour than I currently make. The other leads all make $5 more an hour. He was willing to take a cut in pay to get that position. And he still gets phone calls when not on property from people asking him questions. So I make $1 less and none of the headaches.
Update. My best friend Pam, female 22, started dating my male 22 high school bully. The fallout. Original post. Just as the title said, I, male 21, have a girl, let's call her Pam, female 22, I considered to be my best friend for the last 3 years. Pam has seen me go through a lot, especially after my family disowned me for not forgiving my cousin for hooking up with my then girlfriend 4 years ago. Pam was the one to help me through all that, and I genuinely thought she was someone who would never hurt me. But here I am. Last night she was hanging around my apartment and we were drinking. She's not good with it, so she got loose and admitted to being in a relationship with my high school bully. All of us were in the same class, so she knows the kind of things he, male 22, has done to me. Especially after my family disowned me. He got even meaner as my cousin was a part of his group. He and his gang of lackeys always physically and mentally mistreated me. I filed a complaint with the school, but we all know how helpful they are in these cases. Moreover, since I did not have my parents by my side, nothing was done to them and my life was made even hellish. Pam was the only one who kept me together, so I started living with her parents after I was disowned. So she knows firsthand what kind of torment that person put me through. Back to the topic. I don't think she immediately realized what she had admitted to and went to sleep in my spare bedroom. I was too shocked to sleep, so I went to stay with a college friend. Pam must have realized what she confessed to last night and have since bombarding my phone with calls and texts. My friend took my phone away and I'm using his phone to type this post. Apologies for any mistakes. I am honestly thinking of cutting her out at this point. She means a lot to me, but I just can't be around her anymore. But I don't know whether I'm being unreasonable here. Can someone help me? Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Hey Opie, I am really sorry to hear you have to deal with this. To reference those saying that people change, Opie, you were not required to forgive him or your friend under any circumstances. And moreover, your best friend cannot forgive him for you. I think you should also note that she clearly deliberately hid her relationship from you. She knew that this would upset you. Hence why she hid it from you until she was too drunk to continue doing so. I don't think it would be unreasonable for you to cut her off or even request distance. If this is unforgivable for you, that's okay. Personally, I wouldn't be able to forgive a friend that dated my tormentor, so I understand where you are coming from. I think whatever choice you end up making is up to you, but whatever option you choose is okay. I wish you luck in continuing to heal moving forward. This is the one. Do not rush to forgive just to please your friend. Also, she hid this for a reason. And if the bully changed, he would have reached out knowing he was dating Opie's friend to make amends. Wow, she's a terrible person for doing that. There's no way in hell she didn't realize this was going to be the outcome. On top of it all, she has given your bully even more ammunition to humiliate and bully you with. I guarantee she has probably told him everything about you and about all the breakdowns you've had. This person is not your friend. This is most likely exactly right. Pillow talk is powerful stuff. It usually has a lot of this can't leave this room type of information being exchanged. So long as she's with him, Opie's literally unsafe. Edit. Well, I don't know how to update posts in the sub, so I'll just tell you some information here. I haven't decided to meet her tomorrow to hear her side of the story. I need to do at least that much. Also, I'll answer your questions tomorrow as well. Thank you for everything. I never knew there would be so many people out there who will help me so much. And now for the update. Let me start with apologies and thank you to everyone who helped me with my last post. Either way, I want to talk with her the next day to get to know her side, as most of you wonderful people suggested me to. But on someone's advice, I did not go alone. I had a couple of my college friends with me. I didn't know what I was thinking or feeling back when I entered the cafe we were supposed to meet in. But when I saw her, it felt as if she had been crying for the entire night. As Pam saw me walking towards her, she got up to hug me. We usually greet each other like that, but I gently pushed her away. I could see she was hurt, but so was I. My buddies took seats over at the next table and Pam and I got to talking. She could barely form any sentences as she kept apologizing. I told her to stop crying as gently as I could, and she finally started telling her side of the story to me. Well, they had not been dating for 3 months, but for a year. Yup, for a year she had been lying to me. And then came the line which most of you said she would. Pam, he has changed a lot. You should meet him. Me, Really? You're going to say that to me after all he has done? I still have scars from what he did to me. You know this, don't you? Why were you talking to him in the first place? Pam, he wanted to apologize to you for all he did, but didn't have the courage to. From then on, the conversation went in circles. He wanted to apologize. The two of them got to talking at all. But she did not have the answer for my one question. Why him? At this point, someone walked over to us and sat beside her. Any guesses who it was? Yep, it was my bully. Let's call him Matt. I don't clearly remember what happened afterwards, but there was a lot of yelling, and then Matt snapped and tried to punch me for making his girl cry. Pam was watching it all. I wasn't in the right mind, so the punch hit me. My friends rushed over, but before they could do anything, I knocked Matt down. Back in high school, I used to be small and weak, but in the last couple of years, I have grown a lot, both in height and weight. Thankfully, my friends stopped me before I did something that would have made me regret later on. Pam was crying all the while, but not once did she try to check on me. At that moment, I knew our friendship was over. I looked at her for one last time and told her, "So much for a change, don't you think?" After that, my friends and I walked out of the cafe. It was then all the rush and anger I had disappeared, and I started bawling like I was back in high school. Not proud of it, but my friends helped me immensely. The days following the meet were tiring as I was busy moving in with my friends. The apartment I was living in belonged to Pam's parents, so I didn't think it was right for me to continue living there. However, before leaving, I called them and told them about the fight and stuff, and that I was moving out. They were surprised and reassured me that their daughter will not cause me any issues, but I declined. I was living there while paying minimum rent to them, and I did not think it would be a good idea for me to live somewhere Pam could find me. I thanked them for all they had done for me over the last few years, and reassured them our relationship was still the same. I could feel it was tough for all of us, but this farewell was necessary. So here I am, living with my college friends who also celebrated my birthday last night. It was an awesome party, and completely unexpected too. After all, in all this mess, I forgot about my birthday for the last time in life. On my birthday, Pam tried to call and text me, but I didn't reply to or see her text. So that's all, I think. I'm still sad about losing my best friend, but I know this is the best for both of us. On a positive note, though, I was informed that I have been selected for a student exchange program. So if the pandemic allows it, I'll be moving to Singapore in a couple of months. And lastly, thank you for all the love and support you people gave me. Love y'all and take care. Good for you. At least she'll now know that he is as violent as you remembered him to be. Yep. I wasn't even surprised. OP, as you also said, why was she even talking to him in the first place? Even if he changed or wanted to apologize, it doesn't change what happened, and it's still a very big betrayal and extremely disrespectful. Now we've all seen that he hasn't even changed. Maybe you could press charges. It is petty, but he deserves it. You had a lot of witnesses as well. The guy wanted to apologize, which I also suspect since his apology was attacking you. He never apologized to you. So it came to her to apologize to you, and she began sleeping with him? That's her logic, and just shows how much of a piece of trash he is. The relationship really won't last. She'll see his true side and will wonder if he was really worth the relationship. Good luck for the exchange program. Singapore is a great place. I know I shouldn't be concerned about her, but I hope she leaves him for her own good. Doesn't matter, dude. It's her life. She's made her decision. You can't expect to go rob a bank and not face any consequences. Why does she even want to stay friends with you? She clearly doesn't care or have any empathy. She also was worried about him over you when he attacked you. Yeah, that fact hurt me more than my parents disowning me. It was a mixture of pain and satisfaction of knowing I wasn't wrong. Now for the last story. Update. Brother's girlfriend thinks I bullied her in high school. I don't remember her, and her story seems off. But I can't come to Christmas unless I apologize. Original post. My brother Jack is dating Jess. I met her in summer and she said we'd gone to secondary school together. She seemed upset I didn't remember her, so I apologized and she said it was fine, and then she walked away. I'm engaged to a guy I went to high school with and still in touch with a friend from school, so I messaged both of them and asked them if they remembered Jess, and neither did, so I figured that Jess just wasn't in my classes and that's why I couldn't place her. That night, Jack messaged saying I really upset Jess once again. I was like, again? It says that Jess says I used to bully her. I'm not going to say I was a great person in high school. I had lots of friends, but I was going through a lot of crap. So I could be nice, but could also often be just a raging witch. I never targeted or tormented anyone, and I truly do not think it crossed into bully territory, but I could be very rude and sarcastic. I was definitely not an a-hole, but bully is a bit much in my opinion. Jack said I had to text him an apology so he could show it to Jess. So I sent a generic apology text because I don't know what I actually did, and could only assume I was an a-hole to Jess at some point. Jack called me out on it being generic and said I needed to be specific. I told Jack that I didn't remember Jess. So if she wants a specific apology, she needs to tell me what I am apologizing for. Jess says I stole her boyfriend, gave her an eating disorder, and stopped her getting into her dream university. And here is where the story gets sketchy, because the guy Jess claims to have been dating at a time was a liar who told people we hooked up when we didn't. As for the eating disorder, I was a witch, but I would never encourage someone to develop an ED, as I had an eating disorder myself and BDD, so I was not about to make someone else feel bad about their body when I felt like crap about mine. As for the university, Jess says I made her fail an exam, and failing it kept her out of uni. I have literally no idea what she means. I'm also pretty sure that Jess and I went to different sixth forms, and sixth forms are where you do A-levels, which are the ones that get you into uni. So I have no idea how it's possible for me to have messed up her A-levels when we weren't at the same school. But bottom line is that she believes that I am personally responsible for all of this. Jack says that Jess said that where she's at in life now is all down to me bullying her. I still don't remember any of it. And I actually feel like I remember less with every new piece of info she gives me because it just seems off. Maybe I'm in denial and I need to take a hard look in the mirror. But until then, I'm having an issue giving a sincere apology. And without a sincere apology, I am not allowed to attend Christmas. I haven't seen my relatives in ages, and I'm already in isolation in preparation. And my kids are really excited, so it would suck not to be able to go after all of this. But my dad is siding with Jack and Jess and has said that he wants a calm Christmas. So if I don't deal with the high school drama, I'm not invited. How do I apologize for something I don't remember and resolve this with the least possible drama? Now for the top advice before reading the update. Got some friends in common with her from high school? Maybe they can help with the situation, aka clear up her BS. The fact your dad wants to deny seeing his grandchildren is pure BS. I'm not in contact with many people from high school. Most of my friends were like me, meaning they were really witchy. So I'm only in touch with one of them who grew up and mellowed out, and she doesn't remember Jess either. I married my high school boyfriend and then divorced him, and now I'm engaged to the self-described awkward nerd who also went to my high school, who is not popular or cool, but he says my friends and I weren't that bad. And interestingly, he also does not remember Jess. I'm sure that if I can't do Christmas, Dad will work something out with me so he can see the kids, because he does love my kids. But it sounds like he wants to make sure Jack is happy, and Jack will only be happy if Jess is happy. So Dad is prioritizing Jess this year. I think you have already done enough, and humoring her is just going to worsen her fixation and scapegoating of you. I tell him, I'm done catering to demands for another apology of events I don't even remember from a decade ago, when I wasn't even a legal adult. If your girlfriend can't move on with her life, I suggest therapy. I'll make my own holiday plans with the rest of the family on a different day. Then drop the rope. Tell your extended family the same thing. No, you will not be showing up in a sackcloth and ashes flailing yourself for her crappy teenage experience. No, you will not be sending your children over without you to appease Jack. When and if they want to see the kids, they can make plans with you, the mother. You don't owe Jack or Jess squat. It's not your fault he previously dated a psycho either. In fact, it kind of sounds like he may be dating another one. And now for the update. So I've figured out why I didn't remember Jess. It wasn't Jess. Fiancé and I went through some old boxes. We're in the UK, so we don't have yearbooks. But we had Leavers shirts and this little book, and both had names of our fellow Leavers on them. We found his shirt, and we went through it. Jess was on there, so she did go to our school. But we saw another named Kate, and it bugged me, but I don't know why. I then went back to the year photo, and almost instantly, my brain matched the name Kate to a blonde girl in the photo. My fiancé and I realized that Kate dated Jimmy, and Jimmy is the guy that Jess said I stole from her. I then messaged Jack and explained all of my issues again. Jess going to another school, the notion I gave her an eating disorder, and now the realization that Kate was Jimmy's girlfriend, not Jess. Then said that if Jess can explain this, I'll apologize, and if she can't, then I expect an apology from her instead. A few hours later, we were all in a Zoom call. It's here Jess admitted that she and I didn't interact in school. She was friends with Kate. I was dating my ex-husband at the same time Kate was dating Jimmy. My ex and I were very on again / off again, and after one of our breakups, Jimmy dumped Kate so he could ask me out. The date went terribly, so Jimmy went crawling back to Kate after her. I remembered Kate and Jimmy as being very on and off, like my ex and I were. But turns out that this was the only time they broke up before the final breakup a few years later. Kate started comparing herself to me and developed an eating disorder to match mine, so she blames me for that too. As for the exam, I am still not entirely sure how I screwed that up for her, but Kate and I did go to the same sixth form and shared a class, so we took at least one exam in the same place and at the same time. Just referenced the eating disorder. And when I took my exams, I was pregnant with my oldest and had severe morning sickness. So my best guess is that my throwing up set off Kate's ED before an exam. And as for why Jess went along with it, other than still being friends with Kate, is that I had a large group of friends in high school who I have since stopped speaking to, and a couple of them picked on Jess a lot. But Jess confirmed that I did not personally do anything to her at any point. Jess met my brother in a support group last year. She told Kate, and it looks like they cooked up this little scheme together. Though it's unclear if she started dating Jack to get me, or if it was just coincidence. I asked if we could get Kate into Zoom so I could talk to her directly, and she joined. I did try and get details on how exactly it cost her Reedy had made her fail her exam. And she got very angry with me, saying that she wasn't going to explain because if she gave details, I would use them to talk my way out of it. I asked why Jess said that I bullied her and not her friend Kate, and Kate said I would have denied it either way. It referenced me mentally torturing her, saying that now we were even because I had admitted to spending hours racking my brain trying to figure out what I did, just like Kate had back then. I snapped at her when she said that, saying she needed to grow up and stop blaming others for her problems. And Kate, Jess, and Jack all left the Zoom. I told Dad everything, but he hasn't replied yet. I've not heard from Jack, Jess, and Kate since then, but honestly, Kate and Jess sound equally bat crap crazy. So I'm guessing they're feeding into each other's psycho logic right now. No clue what Jack is doing either, but he was angry with Jess on a call, and he was repeatedly pushing her to tell me everything, so I hope he's on my side here at least.